Well, shit. I guess I better do my part. Wait, why is Bieber on here? In early 2017, PewDiePie paid two strangers through a service called Fiverr to hold up a sign that said "Death to all Jews" as an obvious joke.
Here we go. Sign to behold. Death to all. Tell us how to pronounce your given message. Subscribe to Keemstar. Funny guys, please deliver. The fuck is this? I paid for this. What? What's with the Christmas? I like the editing.
Subscribe to Keemstar.
In response, the Wall Street Journal slandered him as an anti-Semite, and spent hundreds of hours watching his backlog to try and find other jokes that they could twist to support their position. As a result, PewDiePie lost a deal with Disney. Later that year, PewDiePie said "nigger" on a live stream out of anger at the game he was playing.
One behind the orange car.
What? What the fuck is happening?
What the hell was that? The potato was fucking insane. I was holding it so fucking straight.
What a fucking nigger. Jeez, oh my god, what the fuck? Sorry, but what the fuck? What a fucking asshole. I don't mean that in a bad way, Jesus fuck. Why would he do that? Legit, why would he do that?
Even after apologizing, the mainstream media again jumped down his throat. In both instances, the media showed a distinct lack of interest in giving him the benefit of the doubt. On The Guardian, Chelaramanan wrote, "Using the N-word is never okay. It's a fairly easy rule to live by, but one that needs repeating in the wake of YouTube megastar Felix Kjellberg's latest controversy." Commonly known as PewDiePie, the vlogger called another player a fucking nigger during a live video stream. Taking too long to realize his mistake, he qualified the racist slur with "I don't mean it in a bad way" and laughed it off. Listen to how that is written. Taking too long to realize his mistake? That's where we're at, guys. Recognizing and understanding that you fucked up just doesn't count if you took an extra second or two too long to do it, according to social justice sensibilities. It was literally 3 seconds. And that's too long, apparently. Despite the public outcry, many people are coming to Kjellberg's defense, some using the hashtag PewDiePie did nothing wrong, dismissing the event as a crime of gaming passion. This ignores his influence and sends a clear message that it's okay to be racist in the gaming community. Maybe I'm in the minority opinion on this, but I don't think PewDiePie has an imperative to consider his influence. Charles Barkley publicly stated that he's not a role model, but a basketball player, and that there was no moral impetus for him not to behave the way he wanted to behave.
I am not a role model. I'm not paid to be a role model. I am paid to wreak havoc on the basketball court. Parents should be role models. Just because I dunk a basketball doesn't mean I should raise your kids.
Moreover, I know what's really meant by ignoring his influence. Whenever progressives see a platform that somebody else built, they try to worm their way in, either by converting the people on the platform to their politics, or smuggling a person inside in order to co-opt it for their own use. It happened to Cracked. It happened to The Onion. It happened to every major tech giant out there. It happened to pretty much every video game developer, both AAA and indie. It happened to books, comics, Hollywood, TV, you name it. But because YouTube channels are generally centered around one guy, they've proven to be exceptionally resilient to this type of takeover. This is why there's been a flood of articles for the past 5 years talking about how racist YouTubers are, when the truth is, most of them are just inoculated against this specific type of bullshit. Casual use of racial slurs needs to be condemned wholeheartedly every single time. There is never a good reason to use the language displayed in this video. So by their own admission, this isn't even about PewDiePie actually being a racist, it's about his language. As these people might say in a different situation, it's about tone policing. Let's be honest here, if you actually think Pewds is a racist, you're either an idiot or you're pushing an agenda. When people are frustrated, they say things out of that frustration. It's unreasonable to infer people's actual beliefs from those outbursts. In fact, social justice warriors routinely use "but they were frustrated" as an excuse to spew hate. Like when The Guardian's Nesreen Malik said that actually punching your political opponents was justified because it was a form of racial catharsis.
When Richard Spencer was punched while giving an interview in the street, it was a cathartic moment for many. A lot of us find ourselves at a loss for how to respond as frightening and dangerous views are suddenly not only being aired, but mainstreamed. Unable to adjust, we continue to engage with these views like they were just a new school of controversy. The world had changed, but we hadn't caught up. That punch, it caught us up. The punch was a calling out after a time when too many things were not called out for what they really are. Going high might make us feel good about being the better party, but it is not a suitable response.
Hell, when Sarah Jong spouted her own racist, vile garbage, she wasn't even doing it out of frustration, but apparently that was okay. But as usual, it's no bad tactics, only bad targets. PewDiePie's jokes are to be taken as legitimate anti-Semitism, but when the radicals on the left, like say in Jeremy Corbyn's Labour Party, or entire wings of Black Lives Matter and the women's marches, legitimately hate Jews, it's just no big deal. One set of rules for me and another for thee, after all. My point is, the mainstream media has used every single possible opportunity, every method of attack it could find, to try and damage PewDiePie. And as time has gone on, SJWs have begun to aid them in their efforts. For example, Aja Romano wastes no time writing a banal hit piece on Vox whenever PewDiePie sneezes. She's there every time to lick up the snot. Romano later tweeted, "Anytime a reporter has to engage with deeply hateful and disturbing content, it's a strain on our mental and emotional health." Jesus Christ, she makes it sound like she's an actual reporter photographing naked Vietnamese kids running away from a battle or something. You shit-talked a huge personality with no evidence to back you up. What did you expect his fans to do? Here's Diana, an SJW working for Ubisoft, requesting that the gaming industry end PewDiePie. It doesn't matter that PewDiePie has one of the biggest platforms in the world, and that if gaming companies cut ties with him, they would likely suffer financial losses. He has the wrong opinions, goddammit. And what's worse, he doesn't have the proper social justice wrong opinion exemption clearance like Jong and Malik and Romano do. By the way, Diana had to private her account after making this tweet. It turns out that baselessly shitting on somebody with a massive audience is not a smart move. A lesson that Wired also had to learn the hard way. Oopsie doopsie, turns out it's harder to cybersmear someone when their audience dwarfs yours. The internet was a mistake. We need to go back to the days where we could smear somebody and they couldn't fight back outside of a court of law. With the way things are, anyone can just point out our lies to millions of people. We're powerless. Okay, that's obviously a joke article. It was edited from inside the printer hacking army spreading PewDiePie propaganda. But it's still pretty funny, and honestly pretty true, considering that the actual Wired article also tries to slander Pewds as a racist. But the article's main point is to describe an event where fans of PewDiePie hacked 80,000 printers to print off messages advertising readers to subscribe to PewDiePie, and although we took the long way to get here, we're finally at the question I posed at the beginning of this video. Why subscribe to PewDiePie? The short version of the story is, PewDiePie has been the top dog since 2013. But T-Series has come close multiple times to dethroning him for the most subscribed YouTube channel. T-Series is a success story in its own right. The owner was a poor fisherman from India who decided one day to make a channel where he could post music. And as more and more people in India got hooked up to the internet, T-Series began to blow up due to that alone. T-Series also gets more hits than PewDiePie per day by a full order of magnitude, due solely to the fact that most of its content is music, and therefore will be replayed many times by its subbase. And you know, good on T-Series for being successful. Good on the fisherman for building his own company. But it is a faceless company in the end, isn't it? PewDiePie is as much the man as it is the brand. He may have an office space, he may employ people, but you can't just replace the man behind the brand. In my opinion, Game Grumps is a good example of what happens to a brand when you do replace the man behind it. Grumps had soul when it was Aaron and John, and even though it's wildly more successful now than it's ever been, Aaron and Dan have never been able to replicate the friendly rivalry that made the channel initially go viral. The history of Grumps is basically what happens when you let PewDiePie transform into T-Series, strangely enough. But YouTube has always been about these solo guys, where the name of their person, the name of their channel, and the name of their show were always one and the same. The Angry Video Game Nerd started that trend, and was #1 in his own right during YouTube's early days. Spoonie, while he was relevant, was the same type of creator. JonTron is another massive example. From Sargon to Oni, from Maryland to Scooby, from the early days right up to the present day, YouTube culture has always revolved around YouTubers, not so much channels or brands. It's YouTubers that go viral. It's channels and brands that get pushed by the algorithms, get shuffled around randomly on the homepage, and get undeserved spots on the trending list. I do think Jack Black's new channel is funny, but why do his videos consistently beat out PewDiePie's to the official trending list, despite fewer subs, fewer hits, fewer comments and votes, and an overall slower rate of growth? Is it because Jack Black's a safe celebrity and PewDiePie's an unsafe YouTuber? Probably. But that's why people like YouTubers. Regardless of their quality, their consistency, their video style, their genre, or their interests, regardless of anything else, their channels are as much about them as they are about what they produce. When the channel blows up, we can see it's because of their work. When a channel stops putting out videos, we can see it's because they're lazy. But it's always about the person behind the channel. And sometimes it is more than one person. Hell, my channel started with 2 people in 2009, and neither of them were me. But it's still people with faces that you can point to, for better or worse, and say that they are the channel. This can't be done with T-Series. And this can't be done with a lot of other YouTube-approved channels. And that's why the sub-battle between PewDiePie and T-Series has become a battle for the soul of the internet. PewDiePie is the single guy that is the face of his operation. The independent fellow who isn't afraid to give his honest opinion on any topic. He's the actual YouTuber. T-Series is the corporation without a face. The formulaic, safe, algorithm-friendly content churned out regularly. The TV-style channel. To be honest, a few years ago, it would have been the Fine Bros React brand, or Smosh or something, that probably would have exemplified this role. But most importantly of all, PewDiePie is what YouTube started as, what YouTube has always done best, and what YouTube's user base wants it to be. Creator-focused, independent, uncontrollable by the media, but ultimately honest. T-Series is what the media wants YouTube to be, what investors want YouTube to be, and frankly, what YouTube now wants YouTube to be. Brand-focused, safe, marketable, accountable to censors. YouTube wants to be the new cable TV. They would reorganize everybody's feeds to be a curated selection of pre-approved channels only if it wouldn't instantly kill their site. The immense negative reaction to YouTube Rewind is a great example of this. What did that piece of shit have? Celebrities who have nothing to do with YouTube or its culture. Small-time YouTube names that promote the proper politics and suck the right dicks. Safe, pre-packaged, freeze-dried, plastic-wrapped YouTubers that were hand-picked and pushed by YouTube because the content they shit out is utterly meaningless. And as a result, YouTube Rewind became the most downvoted video in YouTube history. And, like the social justice warriors from earlier, YouTube asymmetrically enforces its own rules. Mumkey Jones got banned for old jokes, not because of the jokes themselves, but because he's too small to cause a serious uproar. Sargon got a strike on a video from years ago, because the rules have changed and are retroactively applied, at least to some of us. But Logan Paul can show a dead body on YouTube, and nobody really cares in their offices. YouTube only gave him a tepid slap on the wrist after the entire internet made an uproar about it, because YouTube has pre-approved Logan Paul as a safe bet, regardless of what he actually puts in his videos. But PewDiePie's a shitlord through and through. He's not a safe bet. And in spite of that, he's still too big for YouTube to touch. Not if they want to wreck their own platform. Though frankly, calling them a platform at this point is inaccurate. In an interview, Bill Gates compared Windows to Facebook, refusing to call the latter a platform. That's a crock of shit. This isn't a platform. A platform is when the economic value of everybody that uses it exceeds the value of the company that created it. Then it's a platform. Gates correctly identified Windows as a platform because it was a portal through which a near infinite number of actions could be performed on a PC. Windows doesn't take a cut of the stream that you do, the image you draw, the video you edit, the book you write, or the business you perform, just because your PC is running Windows. But that's exactly what YouTube does. And it's even worse for Facebook or Twitter, where it's the users that are the product. These things aren't platforms. A platform is an avenue through which content is created, not an avenue through which content is controlled. YouTube, as well as the rest of social media, is far more centralized than a platform. And I think that's the ultimate problem here. Centralized control. That's where Gamergate came from, and Comicsgate after it. That's why Trump and Brexit happened. That's why everybody hates Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and Reddit. The internet began as a decentralized mess, but it was free. The internet's no longer decentralized, and we've been watching the freedom slowly disappear into the black hole of terms and conditions. Remember when content creators had their own websites where they would embed videos and shit? Now everything's a subreddit or a Facebook fan page. And now those communities don't get to decide the rules for themselves appropriate to that community. Everybody follows Facebook's rules, or Reddit's rules, or Twitter's, or Discord's, or YouTube's. And these companies have begun to weaponize that power against their user base. Gamergate didn't cause Trump or Brexit, as the progressives widely believe. Rather, Gamergate, Trump, and Brexit all had a common starting point that they split off from: the desire to be free from an ever-centralizing control structure, which has become entirely detached from the interests of common people. Whether you're talking about career politicians, YouTube's customer service, or the attitude of snooty journos, detached really is the perfect word. Detached from accountability, morality, and sensibility. This is why subscribing to PewDiePie is important. Not because PewDiePie himself is solely keeping the forces of YouTube autocracy at bay, but because the internet tilts a little bit more away from freedom every time a social media company centralizes its power. Every time a new bit of speech previously considered fine is censored. Every time a corporate TV-style channel is favored over a YouTuber. But this dream of centralized control, that's the wet dream of the SJWs and the mainstream media barons. It really is a strange union, the socialist advocates siding with the modern-day robber barons against the common person. That's why the two big stories recently, the MAGA Kids and Learn to Code, both blew up as rapidly as they did. They were both textbook examples of progressives in power grossly abusing that power, getting caught with their pants down, and filthy, unwashed commoners on the internet having the gall to laugh at their expense. That's why every time somebody from outside the Overton window, somebody that SJWs and the progressive media have already tried to spin a narrative on, like Elon Musk, Ben Shapiro, Sargon, or UKIP, mentions or is mentioned by PewDiePie, it turns into a huge crisis. Oh no, PewDiePie is corrupting the youth. A short clip of Baked Alaska was on the channel. This is terrible. He's humanizing Ben Shapiro. Do you people even listen to yourselves? That's why the joke Wired article was so on point. It reveals exactly how they think. That's why social justice-y teachers are wasting valuable time in class telling their students about how Gamergate is a hate group, how Pepe is a symbol of white supremacy, and how supporting PewDiePie makes you a bigot.
And by every time you retweet one of these things, or every time you promote this idea, you are promoting ignorance, racism, genocide, anti-Semitism. These are all things that you are putting forward when you are doing anything that promotes PewDiePie. So be careful about this. If something were to happen, if PewDiePie were to be sued for this, you could be complicit. If you retweet it, they can make you pay a fine as well, because you have officially published anti-Semitic things. So if you are republishing this stuff, you could get in trouble for it. Be very aware that that is a real thing.
And that's why, despite all of these efforts from the top, the regular people, the plebs, aren't having any of it. When the people in power write articles, we buy billboards. When the people in power demand the obedience of their students, we wear shirts at the Super Bowl. When the people in power use their large platforms to shame their users, we use our small platforms to voice our objection. And thankfully, YouTube is not so far gone yet that our small platforms are doomed to be small forever. We can still grow with enough hard work. That fact is the only appeal YouTube has left. And YouTube is desperately looking for a way to keep its fan base while simultaneously stripping away that final perk, the chance that a pleb might get big one day. It's Wojiki's wet dream, but we need to ensure that it remains impossible. And if they actually do it, we need to ensure we have another platform we can thrive on. When I said this was a war for YouTube's soul, I meant it. This is a war between what YouTube naturally is and what moneyed interests want YouTube to be. This is a war between both YouTubers and viewers and YouTube itself. And it's not one that we started. Every time YouTube tweaks the algorithm so that you're less likely to see content that you want because they deem it to be unsafe, Every time YouTube shuffles the front page, showing you a bunch of shit you don't really care about because that's what they want you to watch. Every time YouTube curates another part of its service, that is YouTube going to war with its own users. This video has become a bit of a ramble, but it's a topic that's close to my heart as a YouTuber myself. And I have a feeling that a lot of YouTubers, and probably a good chunk of viewers, agree with me on this. Subscribing to PewDiePie isn't really about subscribing to PewDiePie. It's about reaffirming the supremacy of the individual over the corporation, of freedom of choice over algorithmic decision-making, of creativity and love over pre-approved safety. If that means that I get slandered as alt-right, or a Nazi, or a racist, or whatever, fine. Before all else comes freedom. Thank you for watching, guys. If you're here during the premiere, drop by my gaming channel at twitch.tv/gameboomers at 7 p.m. EST, about 3 hours and change from now. I'm going to be attempting the Path of Pain in Hollow Knight. And if you're watching sometime in the future, drop by anyway. I stream 5 nights a week, I'll probably be playing something. I'm out of here, my friends. Remember, I love you.